just wanted to ask the internet a question. I want to buy a new bike. So with the bike I have, the Cannondale Trail 7, it gets the job done, but there's some trails I want to get to in the future that it doesn't quite do the job, and I can't be reliable on a couple hour trip ride where things might fail and I might not be able to fix it. So I want a new, more reliable bike that's going to be able to better suit my needs. It's been really snowy here in southeastern Pennsylvania. There's just been a ton of stuff going on and hard to get to the trail, muddy, messy, that sort of thing. So instead of doing another trainer video, another little skills video, I thought I'd ask you guys a question. So on to the riding that I plan to do and what places I plan to go. So number one, I ride a lot of technical, rocky, rooty things here in Pennsylvania. That seems to be a pretty common theme here. There are a lot of technical downhill sections here, not necessarily super steep, but they are here, and it's not really the best descending bike. There are a few flowy sections, and there's a lot of little punchy climbs that you could get into. I do plan on riding at the bike park maybe once, twice a year. It's not something I do every weekend, and it's not that close, but it is something that I'd like to do once, twice a year, so I'll keep that in mind. I do plan on attempting an enduro race or two in the future. There are a couple around the area that I'd like to get out to and try that out. This is not necessarily for super competitive nature, but I would like to do it just for fun, see how it goes. I want something that's good all around, that could ride a variety of different terrains. I'm not trying to have a bunch of different bikes, I just kind of want one that can do everything, take it anywhere. It doesn't have to be the fastest climber. I'm not going to be in a huge hurry to get to the top, but I do enjoy the downhill, so it has to be a good downhill bike. I do want to stay budget conscious and stay within the $2,500 range. That sort of fits my budget at this point. Here's a few bikes that I've done some research on and kind of fit my my specifications that I'd like to see, and I'll try and link them as I talk about them, but here they are. Number one is a YT Jeffsy, probably the 27 version. I picked this because it's a mid-travel trail bike. It seems like it's a good all-rounder, could climb, and is pretty good on the descents. It's well spec'd for the price, so that seems to be YT's one of their main selling point. A couple problems with this is I can't demo it, and I don't really know what the sizing is going to be like and if I'm going to like the bike, but I have seen a lot of good things, and it looks like this bike's going to be able to do a lot of the terrain that I like to ride. Number two, along the same vein, the YT Capra. It seems like it's a little bit more longer travel, not necessarily as good on the climbs as it is on the downhill, but it seems like it's a very capable downhill bike. Again, it's well spec'd for the price. It can't be demoed anywhere close to here, so again, I'm not going to know exactly how it's going to be. And this bike doesn't really need to climb that well, it just kind of needs to do the downhill thing. So if it's good enough for the climbing and the short punchy climbs and maybe a longer occasional climb, that'd be great. Next up, I just want to mention two Hardtails, just in case I wanted to go that way. The Diamondback Sinker Pro and the Commensal AMHT. These seem like very capable downhill bikes, kind of like a very aggressive trail oriented. Those are just something I'm considering. I'd like to stay on the full suspension side of things, but just to throw those out there. So as I see the kind of sister bikes to the Jeffsy, up next is the Canyon Spectral. That seems to be like a pretty capable all-rounder trail bike, much like the Jeffsy, so I'm wondering which one of those is going to be better. And also if they have the same type of year-end deals like YT does. They seem to have pretty decent year-end deals on those bikes. And then next is the Canyon Strive. That seems to be the enduro bike, a little bit more comparable to the Capra, so another thing I'm looking at. Next up is a giant Trance. This bike doesn't seem to be well spec'd for the price, but I could find it around the area and demo it possibly. It seems like it's a pretty reputable brand. A lot of people ride Giants. It's just a big brand that is very accessible. Can find a lot of access to it and as well as information on it. And then the comparable versions in Commensal to the theme here is the Commensal Meta TRV 42 Origin. That bike's going to be their trail bike, and it's going to be, again, mid-travel. and is very comparable to the Spectral as well as the Jeffsy. This, however, does not have a dropper post, and it seems like that's kind of the thing that everything's trending towards having. So, and then on the enduro side of things, the Commencal Meta AM 4.2. This thing again does not have a dropper post, so another thing to keep in mind. So most of these bikes in this list are direct-to-consumer companies, and that seems to be a pretty decent way to get a bike that's going to have a lot of good components for the price. Just something I'd like to consider just because I'm trying to be budget oriented but still get a very good bike. I don't mind wrenching on my bike, and it's something I actually like doing. So if anybody has experience with these direct-to-consumer brands, let me know because I'd like to know what your experience was like and how the bike actually is. If you own these bikes, let me know in the comments, and I'll try and comment on your experience, and hopefully it's been good and you can advise against or for these bikes. Also, let me know if you had some similar comparisons between bikes when you were deciding. If you went between a couple that I've mentioned here, let me know, and what ultimately led you to the decision you made. So that's the short list for now. I invite everyone to comment on these bikes and give a yes or no recommendation as well. I also want to hear which bikes I may have missed. That's another thing, people's opinions. They might point out something that I didn't even think about, had no idea even existed. Could be like even better than any of my expectations. So just something to, if somebody has those ideas, let me know. So that's about gonna do it for today. So let's get some conversation going about these bikes, and hopefully be very productive here, and I will reply to your comments. So until next time.